finally got African American figurines. That's quite good. This week, we see the aftermath of the butchery of Forrest. His terror does not go unseen, and his acts are unavoidable. There is no time for sickles. There's only room for the headlines. I'd like to do something a little different. Go out of order to prove a point. So, the Camden Expedition. General Frederick Steele initially started this operation to help the Red River Campaign, which has been canceled. So there's no reason for him to continue, but he has. Supply situation is fraught. The need for scavenging has arisen, and the task is given to Colonel James M. Williams. We have heard of Mr. Williams before. He's the commander of the 1st Combat Colored Regiment, fighting at Island Mound, a great honor bestowed upon my state. Colonel James leads his very own regiment, the 1st Kansas Colored Infantry, the 18th Iowa, 4 cannons, and even more cavalry. This is 1,100 men, who on the 18th of April are assaulted by a combined rebel force of 3,500 men. The 1st Kansas forms up in an L shape around their supply train. They stare down Confederate cavalry who defiantly charge them. Fire, a volley rips through the secessionists and force them back. Again, the 1st Kansas is charged, and again it holds. Low on ammunition, they load their pieces once more. The weight of 4th Southern Brigades is too much for both the colored troops, and rush through the Iowa Regiment. You lost 201 men, 4 cannons, and 175 wagons. The mission to defeat Steele is a failure. Just for reference, the total Confederate casualties are 114.
The train fell into our hands, and soon a portion of his artillery, which my troops found concealed in a thicket near the train. I feared here that the train and its contents would prove a temptation too strong for these hungry half-clothed Choctaws, but had no trouble in pressing them forward, for there was that in front and to the left, more inviting to them than food or clothing, the blood of their despised enemy. They had met and routed the force of General Thayer, the ravagers of their country, the spoils of their homes, and the murders of their women and children.
What happens next is massacre. The Iowa men are left to flee, but the Kansas regiment of former slaves are shown no quarter. Fallen bluecoats are scalped and mutilated. The 301 federal casualties, 182 men are from the colored troops, and 117 of those are killed. This killed-to-wounded ratio is so out of the ordinary. This is a continuation of the blatant disregard for the dignity of our troops of color. For far too long has the brave black men who defend our fair nation been forgotten by the public. But when news of Fort Pillow and Poison Spring reached the citizenry, the dam breaks. It was easy to ignore the intrinsic value of all men before these massacres. But now opinion has changed, and the War Department is forced to take action. General-in-Chief Ulysses S. Grant stops the transfer of prisoners.
No distinction whatever will be made in the exchange between white and colored prisoners. The only question being, were they at the time of their capture in the military service of the United States? If they were, the same terms as treatment while prisoners, conditions of release and exchange must be exacted and had. In the case of colored soldiers, as in the case of white soldiers.
It is a tragedy that crimes against humanity are required for said humanity to be recognized. But I'm glad finally our brothers in arms are being considered in decisions. Let's now move on to the Battle of Plymouth. This isn't the famous Plymouth, Massachusetts, obviously, but instead North Carolina. Back in early February, we saw General George Pickett, I believe I have his figure somewhere around here, try to push the Union into the Atlantic Ocean. He failed. But now Rebel Commander Robert F. Hoke has taken up the cause.
In combined operation with the CSS Ram Albemarle, Confederate forces under Major General R.F. Hoke attacked the federal garrison on Plymouth on April 17th. On April 19th, the ram appeared in the river, sinking the Smithfield, damaging the Miami, and driving off the other Union ships supporting the Plymouth garrison. Confederate forces captured Fort Comfort, driving defenders into Fort Williams. On the 20th, the garrison surrendered.
The combined Union force of nearly 3,000 men were taken prisoner. The rebels suffered only 300. The havoc suffered by this war has starved the Southern women as close to death as possible. In Savannah, Georgia, the fair sex riots demanding bread. Their pleas go unanswered. Do you remember General Pierre-Gustave Toutant Beauregard, old PGT? He's been holding the southern coastal regions for President Jefferson Davis. While successful, he has not been able to win the renown he so desires. And since he has considerable pull on the political stage, he gets himself a new command, the Department of North Carolina and Southern Virginia. He will be replaced in the coastal defense by Major General Samuel Jones. Poison Springs was a letdown, but after every letdown there is hope, this one coming from President Lincoln's lips.
We all declare for liberty,
but using the same word, we do not all mean the same thing.
Thanks for the clarification, Abraham. Maybe something else can raise my spirits. Well, after his brilliant use of kindergarten relativism, our commander-in-chief, in consultation with the governors of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, I guess he wanted to work with the I states, he takes on 72 court-martial cases, which means all of those sentenced to death to imprisonment. I am always a fan of this, but you know what? It's been done before. Red River, the 21st, has the first part of the Army of the Gulf reach Grand Encore, continue to fall back to Alexandria. The rest will arrive by the 25th. It appears that after the two back-to-back losses, Major General Nathaniel, it isn't bad as it looks. Banks is content to sit the rest of the campaign out. The final day, let's start off with money. The Coinage Act is passed allowing for the printing of "In God We Trust" on 2 coins. The Confederate Constitution invokes God. Ours doesn't. And it shouldn't. This country is free to everyone. Let them degrade the Lord by writing his holy title on their villainous parchment. We don't need to invoke his name to know that we fight for his justice. Let's try to carry religion such as it is in our hearts and not in our pockets. Final report of this week is from Davis, who writes to General Polk, "If the Negro soldier captured or escaped slaves, they should be held safely for recovery by their owners. If otherwise, inform me." As we saw last week from the crimes committed at Fort Pillow, the fate of colored troops who fall in enemy hands are grim, but they also vary wildly. Should go without saying, but the president can't preside over every case, so the treatment of our men is in the hands of enemy officers. There is no universal handling of black soldiers. Even more merciful than butchering the race of our enemies won't keep them from suffering. Even the white soldiers sent to prison camp, well, hell could take notes from rebel prisons. Hi, it's the entire Civil War Week by Week team here. I just want to say, you might notice we're about to enter May of 1864. And in the past, when, let's just say, events pile on each other, I've taken different moves. For those who have been here for a very long time, they might remember my special report from First Bull Run, or how I broke up the 7 days and released a video each day. Later on, I did events such as singling out battles, most famously at Gettysburg for my feature film-length video. Now, May will see the Overland Campaign and the Atlanta Campaign. I do plan on conducting those weeks normally and regularly. As I'm a college student and not always the most able to keep up with demands, I might have to split them apart, remix. But I do promise that you will see the full month of May, even if I am forced out of those confines. It is not planned. I would like to thank you and see you for the final week of April before I stop sleeping for about 4 weeks.